If the human race had a childhood, and it was anything like a human childhood, it would have been spent very near its mother, and its first deity should by rights be Mother Earth, whose lap we all lay in. Nobody said these things out loud before the search began, but it's fair to confess that they sat at the back of my mind. This was to be the search back to simplicity, back to childhood, back to something primal. Sulawesi is the island we used to call Celebes, one of the 3,000 islands of Indonesia. It's in the mountains of central Sulawesi that you find the land of the Torajas. When I first heard the words primal religion, I thought in terms of scattered remnants and small numbers. It's a shock to discover that this label covers the way of life of 200 million of the world's inhabitants, among them the Torajas. Now, I don't speak Torajanese, the Torajas don't speak English. Our link was Eric Crystal from the Center for South and Southeast Asia Studies in the University of California at Berkeley, and one of the 3 or 4 outsiders who speaks the language. There's no way around the fact that the Torajas I came to know about are Torajas reflected through an American anthropologist.
I think I could fairly say I've become more a partisan than a detached observer.
When I asked other Indonesians what they knew about the Torajas, they listed ancestors in starships coming from the sky, black magic, headhunting, and great elaborate funerals. Eric Crystal kept saying he wished we had a helicopter. Then we could go to really remote places. I found even the main road pretty exotic.
So, they might as well, when they buy the wrong once a year like most people do, buy a black one. See if we can go around down this way.
I'd not been long among the Torajas when somebody wanted to know, what's your religion? Or, as they put it, what's your ritual way? Of the 300,000 Torajas, 2/3 follow the ritual way of the Christians, there are a handful of Muslims, and the last 100,000 follow what they call Aluk Todolo, the ritual way of the ancestors. They're the ones we're after.
What's this stuff they chew?
Yeah, people here, like all over Southeast Asia, chew betel nut.
Oh, I see.
And the combination of a betel leaf and lime powder makes their mouth kind of red. These are little shrimp that come from the rice paddy.
Shrimps?
Yeah.
Like whitebait.
Now let's see what we can find to have any food here. Di balok raka tulemo, Indo. Di balok. Di daka tuna sanga lemo. Di balok raka batu mukwa. Mang kemudian dia tu duami. Di balok raka batu tai. Oh,
What are you asking them?
oh, she said, I asked her, how about your grapefruit? Maybe we could buy one of those grapefruits since it's so warm here. That she just brought, she was going to eat it herself.
Oh, see.
Jadi, taisira ke di balok tu baka kami. Oh.
When you talk to them, why do you go, oh, at the end of every
Well,
sentence?
that's the way they talk. Dari taisira ke tiba tu lemo.
We planned our visit to coincide with the funeral season. The big social event of the Toraja calendar is the funeral. According to Eric Crystal, when a rich man goes by, you don't say, he's worth so many pounds or so many dollars. You say, 50 water buffalo will be sacrificed when that man goes. 5,000 people will come to see him off. It will be a 7-day celebration. Like the one we were invited to at a place called Sangala. The bamboo stadium had been put up specially for the occasion to house what turned out to be a sort of funeral Olympics, with processions, buffalo fights, ritual dancing, animal slaughter, eating and drinking. An outburst of high spirits at a funeral can happen where I come from too, but is never quite proper. Here it seems natural, a deliberately intended carnival.
If they yell and jump and they show a lot of spirit, for them it's a lot easier. It makes things go.
There in the centre is the pavilion where the body lies. I suddenly realised I'd spent half a day at a funeral and hadn't had one funereal thought. This is the funeral of the last wife of the last king of Sangala. She's been dead 3 years. She's about to be processed into an ancestor. It's also the first Toraja ceremony to be advertised abroad as a tourist attraction. But I didn't quite anticipate this.
What's interesting to me is that so many people from the West seem to be seeking something in Toraja culture.
What do you think they find, those you've talked to?
Well, I've been very, very interested to talk to these tourists because I find in the main they're quite serious people. They're not here for a lark, to go sunbathing or go swimming, because people don't do that here. Noticing them, watching them in rituals, I think they want desperately to kind of be involved in a way. I mean, they think they don't really understand what's happening, but what they do understand is that here is a genuine, something very genuine, a genuine religious ritual and ceremony, which is terribly meaningful to the people here. A lot of the religious rituals and ceremonies we find in the West seem to be terribly artificial and generally meaningless even to the people who are participating in them for perhaps social reasons or other reasons. It's very hard to reach the essence of Toraja religion, but just just being there on the periphery seems to have some significance to a lot of people from the West.
The man in the light shirt is the dead Queen's stepson. He's a Christian and he's in charge of the funeral. It's taken him 3 years to draw it all together. I asked them what they were doing. What we're doing, they said, is giving the dead Queen a state entry into the land of the souls. She'll arrive there flanked by the souls of all the dead buffalo, and her burning pavilion will rise from its ashes and be there before her.
Well, people say in the old days that the whole ceremonial ground at a funeral was burned down, but now it's simply too much of an expense. It's quite a luxury. What isn't burned down is usually quickly dismantled. In a few weeks' time, there's not even a vestige of this great ritual.
The day finished with a mile-long jog from the funeral field to the burial place. I asked Eric about the portable image.
This image, which is so-called Tao statue, carved in Nanka wood of the deceased, who passed away quite a time ago, is constructed only in the large 7-day death ceremonies. Only people of considerable wealth are usually presented with this type of an image.
Why do you say passed away rather than died?
Well, since died seems something more abrupt. People here, they just say, he's dead. Matemo. And that's it. You know, they don't use these types of euphemisms. Yeah.
But you use a euphemism.
I do. Well, I'm not from here. I'm from the West. And I think it's an inability to directly confront the fact of death, typical of Western society.
It's difficult to get it straight, but it seems the body is in the coffin, the soul is lingering around and will be ritually encouraged to leave for the land of the souls, which lies in the south. After some time there, it'll be released to the stars. And the wooden effigy marks the high rank of the person who died. How do the ancestors get in touch with you?
They come back in dreams. This is where the ancestors almost always appear. Sometimes they ask for special meals, special things that you should prepare for them.
Now, the Queen was having her headscarf tied when a visitor moved in and offered his baseball cap. I'm sure he meant well, but should he have done it?
It is a great taboo to fool around with these statues. That is, you may never go up and touch them except if there's a specific ritual or a reason to do so. And you're not supposed to talk dirty or urinate or defecate in the vicinity of the Tao statues. And if you bother these statues or molest them in any way, you're liable to get sick, and your stomach will get very big, and you could even die.
Meleno ko ora bendamam ko.
Oh, karangi miradona nun.
Kalau ni paling pengen ada so.
Oo.
Lima lan. Palalap sini. Ya, di kolam apa re?
Anyone with thoughts of childhood, simplicity, a return to something primal, is bound to wonder, haven't I come too late? Yes, say the Christians, you've come too late. We brought the schools, we brought the hospitals, we brought the gospel. % of the Torajas are Christians, but the followers of Aluk Todolo, the way of the ancestors, are fighting back. How, they argue, do you measure the depth of someone's allegiance? What a man or woman will do in sickness, in a crisis, or when the ancestors call. And another thing, they say. In 1969, the government, for reasons of its own,